Hi guys, how are you doing? I hope all of you are doing well. Today I would like to share my opinion about the Quran, about the topic of the polygamy in the Quran. Does the Quran really allow men to marry four women? So I explained this in Turkish language 4 years ago. I have a couple of videos on YouTube in Turkish and Spanish language explaining that. I can anticipate in this video, and then we're going to start studying and analyzing the verses. So I explained that the Quran does not allow men to marry four women in chapter 4 verse number 3. There is another context over there that we're going to study. I also published this analysis in my book La Palabra Compartida. It was actually my PhD dissertation as part of my Quranic the translation of the Quran. Hopefully this book will be published in English language as well. But first, I will publish hopefully the translation of the Quran into Turkish language in a couple of months. I have a lot of projects. So this book is about the Islamic dogmas versus the Quran. So one of the topics was precisely this one. As you know, in Islam, men can marry with four women, up to four women, and they show the Quranic verse as a reference of them. But we're going to see, as I mentioned before at the beginning of this video, that in my opinion, there is another thing over there that has nothing to do with the polygamy in the Quran. Okay, now I'm going to share with you a traditional understanding of the chapter verse number 3 of the chapter 4. I'm going to use the translation of Dr. Mustafa Khattab, which you can find at Quran.com. So this translation reflects the complete understanding of Islam, how Islam understands the Quranic verse 4:3, chapter 4, verse number 3. Let's start. It says, "If you fear you might fail to give orphan women their due rights, if you were to marry them, then marry other women of your choice, 2, 3, or 4. So according to this understanding, you as a Muslim man, you're taking care of orphans, and you are planning to marry them, those orphan women, orphan girls. You're planning to marry them because you know Islam permits pedophilia. So because of the Islamic tradition, because of the hadith that Muhammad was married with a girl, Aisha. She had 6 years old when they married, and they had affairs. They had sex when she was 9 years old. That's why you see pedophilia in Islamic countries. A 50 years old man can marry just 12 years old or 10 years old girl. So according to this point of view, when you fear, if you're a man, you're taking care of orphans. If you fear that you will not be, you'll fail to give the orphan woman, okay, then you can marry other women of your choice, 2, 3, or 4. Like you can marry 2, 3, or 4. If you can do that, so you can do that. But, so according to this point of view, I continue. God says, but if you're afraid you will fail to maintain justice, then content yourselves with one or those bondwomen in your possession. So content yourself, because according to this point of view, God says that the best way of living life for men is to have a lot of women, 2, 3, or 4. If you're not able to do so, then content yourself like a person that marries with only one woman is like a poor guy, then content yourself with just one, or those bondwomen, slaves that you have in your possession. You have a lot of slaves. According to the Islamic tradition, you can have slaves when they have a war. They kill a lot of people, and they can take as concubines the women of the people that you kill in the battleground. So according to Islam, if you saw my videos, I separate Islam and the Quran. Islam is the tradition, the Arab tradition and pre-Islamic tradition and understanding of life, pre-Islamic philosophy that took the Quran, and now it's a religion. So I separate Quran and Islam. And this reflects Islamic tradition, Islamic way of understanding, and Islamic philosophy. So according to this, you can marry with up to 4 women if when you are planning to marry those orphan girls, orphan women, and if you fear that you will not be able to do so, then marry other women, 2, 3, or 4 of your choice. All right, now let's continue with the chapter number 4, verse number 3, word by word. So, وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ, if you fear, I'm not sure if you can see it from there. أَلَّا تُقْسِطُوا, taqsit is equity. If you fear that you will not be equitable with them, with the orphans, fil yatama, yatama is orphan, فَأَنْكِحُوا, so then marry, مَا تَابَ لَكُمْ, seems suitable to you, مَا تَابَ لَكُمْ مِنَ النِّثَاءِ, so then marry other women. The verse, the original text, doesn't have the word other here. Mathna wa thalatha wa ruba'. 2, 3, or 4. Now, I'm going to share you, in order to understand this, I need to share you another verse. When you're going to see the word ankihu, which is here, then marry, that you understand, you deduct that this ankihu means that you marry. The same word ankihu reflected in other verse. It is precisely chapter 24 and verse number 32, and I'm going to read the traditional understanding of the verse, which in my opinion is completely wrong, but the first part at least serves me, because I'm going to share you even the traditional understanding of this word ankihu doesn't mean you marry. Marry off the free singles among you, as well as the righteous of your bondmen and bondwomen. Marry off. If they are poor, Allah will enrich them, God will enrich them of His bounty. For Allah is all bountiful, all knowing. Let's see, word by word, 24:32. فَأَنْكِحُوا, marry off. Marry off, when you see marry off, you understand that you marry them with other, not that you will marry them, because the context of this chapter 24:32 is about to marry the single people, وَأَيَامَ مِنْكُمْ, free singles among you, وَالصَّالِحِينَ, and the righteous, مِنْ عِبَادُكُمْ وَإِيمَانُكُمْ, the righteous of your bondmen that you possess, your slaves. What? Marry them. As this is a bondman, is a man, they don't translate the word ankihu, you marry them, because it will mean that it will be homosexual. Because of it is a bondman, ibadukum, bondmen, slaves, is a man. So if they translate the word ankihu like you marry them, it will be understood from the Quran that God tells you to marry them and then have a homosexual marriage, which is in contradiction with the Quran. So that is why when they translate the same word ankihu that appears in 24:32, they translate this marry off. So marry off, you marry them, you help them to marry with other people. Ankihu. Then, why they translate فَأَنْكِهُ of the verse chapter 4, number 3 as you marry? Because it's the Islamic tradition. Now, I'm going to move through that chapter 4, verse number 3 again. But before that, in order for you to explain it better, I'm going to read with you the context of the chapter 4, verse number 3. In order for you to understand, in order for us to understand the context, we need to go and read the verse number 1, 2, and 3, because all the verses are connected. Actually, all the entire chapter is connected. It's not talking about the institution of marriage. It's not talking about marriage in the Quran. It's talking about the orphans. And it starts, chapter 4, verse number 1 starts, O humanity, that covers man and woman. It's not O ya ayyuhar rijal. It doesn't say O man. It says O humanity, ya ayyuhan nas. Be mindful of your Lord, who created you from a single soul, and from it he created its mate, one by one. And through both he spread countless men and women. And be mindful of Allah, God, in whose name you appeal to one another, and honor family ties. Surely Allah is ever watchful over you. Verse number 2. Give orphans their wealth. The context. And what is the subject? O humanity, not O man, not O women. It's humanity. It's all together, men and women. Give orphans their wealth when they reach maturity, and do not exchange your worthless possessions for their valuables. Nor cheat them by mixing their wealth with your own, for this would indeed be a great sin. And then now it comes to verse number 3, the context, the same context, there is no separation. وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ, and if you fear أَلَّا تُقْسِطُوا, you to be able to do justice, if you fear that with the orphans, fil yatama, فَأَنْكِهُ, then marry them, مَا تَابَ لَكُمْ. It doesn't mean seems suitable to you. مَا تَابَ لَكُمْ means according to your criteria, according to your point of view. If you see that they reach certain amount of age or certain amount of maturity according to your judgment, your opinion, minan nisai from which? Women, from the orphans, so the girls. If you see them that they reach a certain maturity, then what? Then marry them with other, marry them. Mathna in Arabic language is not 2. Thalatha is 2. Ithnan is 2. And 3 is thalatha, not thulatha. And 4 is arba'a, not ruba'a. So that means that by 2 by 2, 3 by 3 and 4 by 4. It's a huge difference. It's not saying that you to marry 2, 3 or 4 women. Mathna means 2 by 2. Thulatha, not thalatha. Thulatha means 3 by 3. Ruba'a is not arba'a, it means 4 by 4. So it means massively. Marry them. Not that you will marry with 2 or 3 or 4. It's incredible. It's incredible how they distorted the verses and converted this verse to an institutional marriage institution. The verses are talking about the orphans, how you will take care of them, when you will need to give them the money that they inherited from their parents, the orphans. According to you, you need to help them. If you fear that you will not be equitable with them when they are with you, then marry them massively. It's incredible. That's my opinion, and for me it's clear. So now I'm going to share with you the suggested understanding and translation of the verse number, chapter 4, verse number 3. So according to this suggestion the translation is, if you fear that you will not be equitable among orphans, then make them marry. Make them marry. Not you marry with other women, or not with you marry with them. You're not planning to marry them. If you fear that you will not be equitable among orphans, then make them marry from among those that in your opinion are suitable. If you see that they reached certain maturity, according to your opinion, what you're seeing, then make them marry. 2 by 2, 3 by 3, 4 by 4. Massively. And it continues. But if you're afraid that you will not be able to be just with them, then only one. It doesn't say you content with only one or something like that. It doesn't say anything about that. If you're not able to marry them massively because it's going to cost you, you will not be just with them when you help them. If you fear that, then only one what? Marry that only one girl, or the one that you manage under contract. Ma malakat aymanukum. Malakat, you govern. It means that you govern. Aymanukum, it could, ayman, yamin could be hand, but ayman and yamin also in Arabic means contract. So you, the people that serve you, not not slaves. In the entire Quran, there is no word such as jariya. Jariya, concubines. There is no that word in the entire Quran. Ma malakat aymanukum means the people that you manage under contract. So if you think that you will not be just with them, then marry only one, not you. You marry with other person. It's talking about the orphans. The Quran, if you read the Quran, if you read the chapter 4 and the entire Quran, there are a lot of verses that suggest people to take care of people in need. And they suggest you to marry them in order for them to have a family. And this particular verse number 4, chapter 4, verse number 3, the entire context starts, it talks about the orphans, not the institution of marriage. Just read the first number 20-25 verses in the chapter 4. It's about orphans. Not that how many women that man can marry. The verse starts with all humanity, not with all men. So this is it. The word ankihu, it doesn't mean you marry. It means that marry them. It doesn't mean that if you're not able to marry with four, then you go and marry another two, three or four men. In the context, that understanding is also is a contradiction. It doesn't follow. It doesn't make any sense, in my opinion. That's all for today. Hope you see you next time. Be safe. Bye-bye.